So I've told you over and over this whole summer that the wide receiving group is going to be one that I am going to be watching with a very close eye. We all know that we have a lot of talent there in that wide receiving group. And I was like, you know, who's going to push Jalen Reagor? We all looked at Britton Covey, was like, oh, maybe this is the guy with his, you know, his punt returning, kick returning, maybe he can make a mark. And then Deon Cain comes out of nowhere and says, don't forget about me.
You want Philly food?
Yeah, let's do it.
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. And you know what it is, man. So we about to get into this. I want to talk about this preseason game a little bit, just a little bit about obviously that huge catch from Deon Cain, how Boston Scott was utilized in that first drive, and just kind of what I saw out of this team. Obviously, again, we kind of just faltered towards the second half of the game, but it is what it is. It's preseason. Most of those guys that were in at the second half won't really see much time, but there is a lot of positive to take from this team, from this game, and from this week overall. So before we get into that, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, join the family. We are on the road to 4K, and we would love for you guys to join that ride. Now, let's hop right into it. So I'm gonna start with Boston Scott, to be honest with you. He had 11 touches on that first drive, obviously capping it off with a touchdown. We looked like we were just gonna walk up and down the field on these guys, and we kind of did with that first team. So second team, right? It was our first team for today. Obviously, a bunch of people sat out, you know, so I will say this, it kind of got me surprised that Boston Scott was utilized that much. I think that we know what we have in Boston Scott. I don't think that we're looking to really find out what he is. And then I looked at it and I was like, well, maybe they really look at Kenneth Gainwell as that number one guy. So they were like, let's you know, play Boston Scott because we'd rather him, if anything happens to somebody, knock on wood, you know, I'd rather him be the guy than Kenny Gainwell. But then Kenny Gainwell came in, obviously got a lot of touches himself, and then was able to score. I don't know. It just really, it kind of doesn't make much sense to me what happened with that running back group. I don't know what's happening with that running back group, but the more that I look at it, the more that I'm starting to feel like we probably do need somebody else there. We probably need somebody to kind of spell a Boston Scott, spell a Miles Sanders. Kind of seeing what our running back group is without Miles Sanders kind of opened my eyes. I know I have been one guy that's kind of like, you know, I feel comfortable with those guys, but I'm lying. I don't, you know, and I don't want to say I'm lying, but now kind of seeing it in actual, you know, fruition, I was like, yeah, I can't live with this. So we need to figure something out with that running back group. The tight end group is a position that a lot of us were looking at, and, you know, obviously Jack Stahl, Grant Calcaterra was able to come back. There's some guys that you're looking at, and it's like, maybe these guys make an impact. Jack Stahl, I'm high on. I think that he's the kind of perfect spell to what Dallas Goedert is. Dallas Goedert's more of that receiving guy. Obviously can block with the best of them at the tight end position, but we utilize him more in those screens, more in the passing game, more so than we would with our second guy, right? So I'm not opposed to having somebody like a Jack Stahl, who's a very, very good blocker and got better over the year last year, as that tight end too. I don't know how to say his name, but it's like Tagoa. I don't know how to say his name. He had a couple big catches. You know, there was the tight end room is an interesting one. You obviously still have Richard Rodgers kind of hanging around. We have a lot of guys at that position. You still have Tyree Jackson, who won't be seeing action till like later in the year. How much do you truly believe in him? I know a lot of people were really high on him last year, including this franchise, including this organization. Said a lot of good things about him. How high are you truly on him? How high are you truly on any of these guys? You know, it's going to be very, very interesting to see who actually takes that tight end 2 spot and tight end 3 if we keep 3. That tight end spot is really heating up, man. So you got Boston Scott went out there, did his thing. Kenneth Gainwell went out there, did his thing. Britton Covey was the first guy that returned a kick. And then I want to say, who was it that they brought out for the second one? I forget who it was for the second one, but they took Britton Covey right out. I want to see what these guys do as return men. You know what I'm saying? That's really that's really where they're going to make their stones. If they make this roster, I think that's where they're going to really plug in at. A lot of people are really high on Britton Covey still, you know, with the route running that he's shown. It'll be interesting, right? And speaking of the wide receiving position, Deon Cain wants to be seen. And you know, look, the Philadelphia Eagles always find themselves in this position where we have a guy that, you know, is kind of a practice squad guy, someone we didn't really know a lot about, kind of shine in the preseason. Today he had an amazing catch, which I'll show right now over my beautiful mug. I'm sorry for y'all that was coming just to see my face. But, you know, this catch is just ridiculous, man. I mean, to be able to track the ball, not only track the ball, have the strong hands, the strong upper body and body control to just come down with this snag. Terrible throw from Gardner Minshew, if I'm being 100% honest. Terrible throw, but it was a great catch from Deon Cain. He had a couple big catches. He had I think like a 30-yard catch right after that play, if I'm not mistaken. He did very well. It's going to be very, very interesting. Shout out to Ruben Frank. Rube said that if it comes down to Jalen Reagor and Deon Cain, you have to go with Deon Cain. And that's a very, very interesting statement right there, right? Are you going to go with a Deon Cain over a Jalen Reagor? Deon Cain, 6'2", came out of Clemson. You know, he's got the speed. He's obviously got the hands. That's going to be very interesting. Another guy that really is starting to shine and really come on now that he's at camp is Zach Pascal. Zach Pascal has looked very good. Zach Pascal has looked very, very good. Obviously, we didn't see no A.J. Brown. We didn't see any Devontae Smith. So these guys were able to go out there and make some plays. Jalen Reagor was in on some plays. Jalen Reagor had some bad throws his way, but he was open. He was getting open. He was getting the separation. It's going to be very, very interesting. I'm excited about this offense, and I'm excited about all these questions being answered, because I feel like once these questions are answered, we're going to be very happy as Eagles fans in how they get answered and the answers that they have towards them. Now, I do want to end this off with a little bit of negativity, right? Obviously, like I said, none of the starters and on the defense were playing. So this is, you're looking at your second, third team, but our defense was kind of getting rocked early on, a little bit more than I would have liked to see, right? You know, I forget what the guy's name even is. You know what I'm saying? He's like number 15. The dude's like the backup to the backup's backup, and we were just letting him run all over us. It was not looking good. I did not like it. We were letting the running backs run all over us. I just didn't like how people looked lost. Our defense looked confused, you know, and they looked like they didn't know where they were supposed to be on a lot of plays. I don't want to see that. You know what I'm saying? I always feel like the true mark of a great defense is you can't necessarily tell the difference between your first and your second team. You know, third team always gets a little bit murky. It becomes murky waters. But when your second team goes out there, you want to still see a little bit of a dominance. You still want to see a little bit of dominance, right? You want to be a deep team. We still had Taron Jackson out there. We still had, you know, most of our linebackers out there. So I wanted to see better. Kerry Vincent he was getting smoked a little bit. It is what it is. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. You know, this cornerback room is another one. It's almost like the wide receiving group. You know who your top guys are, and then beyond that, it's like, can anybody make a name for themselves? Zach McPherson has probably been the most consistent out of the group, in my opinion. I feel like he's shown the most growth, but that cornerback room is going to be very, very interesting. And lastly, I'll talk about is the safety room. Another spot where I'm feeling I'll say that they're the running backs, right? So the wide receiving room, I'll equate it to our cornerback room, and then our safety room, I'm equate it to our running back room. I think you have enough in front of them that I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but you can get away with having less than stellar safety play. But I do get nervous, you know what I'm saying, that you're depending on your cornerbacks, you're depending on your front seven to really get after that quarterback, and I just don't want to do that. I think that, you know, safety is a position, much like running back, that I think you can get you can be very happy as an Eagles fan if they're looking to upgrade that. Marcus Epps has been a standout this whole offseason as far as the safety room goes. He's been the hands down best safety in Philadelphia right now. But I don't know if that's saying much, and that's no slight towards Marcus Epps. So I just want to see them maybe solidify that. Jaquiski Tartt, I don't know like what's going on there. I haven't seen enough of him to really say he's going to solidify and take that spot. Kayvon Wallace had looked good today. I don't know. It's a very, very interesting spot. I feel like there's talent there. I just don't know where it's going to sort itself out. Excuse me. Are we going to have that top tier talent? So that's the one thing that kind of worries me. But look, this was another good preseason game for the Philadelphia Eagles. Next week, I believe it's the Dolphins. Same darn thing. We're going to do a lot of joint practices. Those are going to be more important than the preseason games. And we're going to figure out what this team is a little bit more. We're getting closer to that September 11th game. So everything's starting to really matter. Everything's starting to buckle down. I want to know what your notes are, what you all saw from this game, how you're feeling about this Philadelphia Eagles game, and about this week. Well, the week's over. Now we kind of go back and we look and we do our homework on ourselves and self-scout and see what we can get better at and what we liked. So you guys let me know in the comments. But other than that, I hope you guys had a great day. You know, I never say that enough. If you make it this far, I hope you had a great day. I hope you had an amazing day. And let me know in the comments if you made it this far, because I appreciate it. I never, just take the time to say thank you. You know, it takes a lot to sit here and listen to me ramble for like 11 minutes. And you guys do that. You guys are amazing. But other than that, y'all know what it is. It's Fly Eagles Fly. And we are out here. Peace.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Fly Eagles flying on the team. Touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird gang nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man soft. Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randolph. Season here, early time to do 'em in. Your boy Philly Fresco, thanks for tuning in.